Of course, we are bringing in White House Deputy Chief of Staff, Stephen Miller. An interesting week ahead, I'm sure. Stephen, what is your reaction, in essence, to the spending fight that we're seeing play out on Capitol Hill?
Well, it just shows you that Democrats don't have a vision for this country, don't have a vision for the future. They've become totally radicalized, and all they have to offer is unthinking, unfeeling, angry, senseless opposition, as evidenced by their shameful conduct that has now been much discussed around the world at the State of the Union, where all they could do was oppose every single proposal that President Trump had, every victory that President Trump had for America that are supported by 80% of the American people, like keeping men out of women's sports, refusing even to stand for a child who overcame and is in the process of fighting brain cancer, refusing to stand for the victims of monstrous crimes committed by illegal aliens, refusing to stand for a child who lost his parent and who is now going to be going into West Point. And the examples are endless from that evening. And so now you have President Trump putting forward what's known as a continuing resolution. It's basically a clean government funding bill. What does that mean? It means it just freezes current funding. So it adds no new spending. It creates no new programs. It doesn't have any new slush funds. It just says we're going to continue current spending while we work on a budget plan for next year, and that's when you can implement all of the new reforms. In Washington, it has never happened before, never, that a government was shut down over a clean government funding bill. This never happened before. Anytime a clean government funding bill has been on the table, government has been funded. So if Democrats are going to try to shut the government down over a clean funding bill, it would just demonstrate that they've become as hopelessly Marxist and crazy as we all know they've become by watching their behavior.
Well, Stephen, we're desperate to get your next take on this story. Of course, as you talked about, why President Trump trying to keep the government open and avoid that shutdown. Saturday Night Live comparing him to a terrorist. Take a watch.
President Trump addressed a joint session of Congress and claimed that no president has changed government faster than him. Yeah, and nobody changed airport security faster than bin Laden.
Your reaction?
Saturday Night Live has not been culturally relevant in 20 years. Saturday Night Live has not produced a meaningful talent since the 1990s. Saturday Night Live has been a place where comedy goes to die. The only good thing that has happened on Saturday Night Live in the last couple of decades were the times that President Trump hosted Saturday Night Live. We would all love to go back to the Saturday Night Live that we grew up with. But unfortunately, because it's gone woke, because it's gone left, because it's gone politically correct, Saturday Night Live is now the antithesis of comedy. And unless and until they decide to be fearless and bold and brave and actually mock and challenge the radical left and the church of woke, they're not ever going to be funny again.
Stephen, it's Steve Hilton here. I love that. Maybe Saturday Night Live is the next candidate for the Doge treatment. Maybe that'll sort them out.
Yes, we got a Doge SNL.
Exactly. It's great to see you. By the way, just as a policy guy, I have to say, just the scale and the pace of the policy revolution you're leading there is just thrilling to watch. But what we're also watching, of course, are all these threats that keep piling up against the administration. Last night, the Secret Service shot a suicidal man brandishing a gun near the White House, while Vice President Vance can't go for a walk, it seems, without being harassed by pro-Ukrainian protesters.
Ma'am, look at my 3-year-old daughter now, and I told you, I talked to you for 5 minutes, and now, I did not agree to have my 3-year-old to have people run around and yell at her, and I did talk to you, and I had said, if I talk to you for a few minutes, will you leave my 3-year-old daughter alone? And you said yes. So I'd like you guys to respect that. Okay.
And it's not just the VP. The anti-MAGA crowd is now focused on Elon Musk and Tesla. 6 more protesters were arrested yesterday after they took over a Tesla showroom in New York City. And the unhinged behavior has Elon fearing for his own safety.
These are real enemies.
Like, I think they actually want to kill me. I mean, the reason I know this, well, they say so online. You know, there's like Reddit forums where they don't just want to kill me, they want to desecrate my corpse.
And it's not just online. The far left is now firebombing Tesla dealerships across the country and defacing charging stations with swastikas. So far, at least 3 people have been arrested in connection with anti-Tesla vandalism or violence. So, Stephen, what do you think? Can the administration step in here, investigate, do something about these unhinged leftists?
Well, it's all very sad and very tragic, and underscores how the rhetoric and behavior from House Democrats, from Senate Democrats, from leading figures in the Democrat Party has created an incredibly unsafe environment for Republicans and for elected leaders in the Republican Party. They have constantly spewed the lie and the hate and the vitriol about President Trump being a threat to democracy, President Trump being a fascist dictator. All of those odious libels and slanders have resulted in a huge increase in death threats, in violence, in harassment, in intimidation. Look, again, the Democrat Party has become radicalized. They are held hostage by a tiny, tiny minority of this country. President Trump came in as the crusader saving democracy, saying that what you, the American people, want is what we are going to do. We're going to restore popular democracy to this country. And we're going to say that if rogue bureaucrats do not want to implement the will of the voters, that we are going to implement it regardless and move those rogue bureaucrats aside. We're not going to have a police state run out of the FBI or the CIA that tries to control our elections or our democracy. Nor are we going to use intelligence agencies to foment war and instability all over the world, but America is going to again become an instrument of stability and peace. But the radical left cannot handle that. So they spread lie, they spread venom, they spread hate, and the examples that you cited, this violent, horrible activity, this pro-assassination activity in our country continues to happen. And let us not forget, it was only months ago that President Trump was the survivor of not 1, but 2 assassination attempts. And far from cooling their rhetoric, the Democrat Party has made it even more incendiary.
Stephen, all great points, and thanks for joining on a Sunday between you and Steve Hilton. I feel overdressed, so thank you for the non-tie look. It sounds like President Trump is going after the people behind the dirty dossier. Listen.
I just saw you sign executive orders for law firms. One of the law firms was Perkins Coie, that was the law firm that had the Steele dossier.
Yeah, they had the Steele dossier, they had a lot of other things, and we have a lot of law firms that we're going to be going after because they were very dishonest people. They were very, very dishonest. They could go point after point after point, and it was so bad for our country. And we have a lot of law firms that we're going after.
Now, Stephen, the president suspended Perkins Coie's security clearance this week. What more can we expect from the administration on this?
Well, the president not only cut off the security clearances to Perkins Coie and also implemented national security-related restrictions on access to government buildings, but also ordered a full review, audit, and, where necessary, based on the facts, termination of all government business and contracting as well to Perkins Coie. And that's going to be based, again, on an analysis and an assessment of those facts, because we are not going to fund the weaponization of law enforcement in America anymore. This is all part of President Trump's plan to shut down weaponized law enforcement. Perkins Coie, as has been well documented and established, was at the center of the Russia collusion hoax. There was a multi-year war on American democracy, a giant psyop attempted on the American people that formed the justification for the incarceration, harassment, and spying on of countless American citizens, and of course the attempt to infiltrate President Trump's campaign and ultimately to try to launch a coup to throw him out of office. This is serious, malign conduct. And this government is not going to fund it, it is not going to finance it, and it's certainly not going to award it with security clearances and other government perks and benefits. More broadly, we have a serious problem in this country, which is that the American Bar Association, our major university law schools, and our major law firms have become an instrument of the hard left in this country. And they've formed an alliance with elements of the FBI and the deep state to persecute, hound, and harass American citizens. Look, you had big law helping to drive the New York prosecution of President Trump to try to overthrow the 2024 election. Big law has gotten away with this interference in our democracy and this attempt to try to turn law into an instrument of political repression for too many years. It's going to stop. It's going to stop now, and President Trump is the one who's going to stop it.
Stephen Miller, thank you so much. You're covering a wide variety of topics for us on this Sunday evening. We appreciate it. Thank you for coming in.
Always my pleasure.